Good afternoon. For June 2nd, this will be the provincial emergency operations update. Currently, we have 16 active fires in Saskatchewan. That's 219 so far this year. Our 5-year average is 131 for this time of year. So significant fire activity in the province. Only 5 of those 16 fires are contained. 6 are not yet contained. 4 are being assessed. I have ongoing assessment on them, and one of them is strictly for protecting the values that are threatened by the fire. I will summarize the fires as we go through, and as I identify the fires, I will talk about the impacts of those fires both on roads and communities as we go through the list. First on our list is the Shoe Fire near Lower Fishing Lakes. Fire size has been updated to 407,000 hectares due to some more growth in the last 24 hours. This fire has impacted Highway 165, resulting in a closure in that location. This fire has led to the evacuations of East Trout Lake, Little Bear, Whalen Bay, and Lower Fishing Lakes, and the closure of Narrow Hills Provincial Park. Second fire is the J. Smith Fire, which is north of Mississippi. It has an impact on Highway 2, even though traffic is able to move through. It has led to the evacuation of Brabant community, Brabant Lake. Current fire size estimated to be 38,000 hectares. Going south is the Ditch Fire, which is in the Wahakwan area, north of Wahakwan. Current size estimated at 15,000 hectares. That fire currently is causing closures and partial closures on Highway 2 and on Highway 969. Communities of Whalen Bay, Ramsey Bay, Timber Bay, and Melanosa have been evacuated because of this fire. Next fire on our list is the Pisu Fire, which is west of Larange. It has led to the evacuation for some time of Hall Lake. Due to its spread eastward, currently there are evacuations in place for Wadden Bay, Sucker River, English Bay, and Namibin, including the park site at Namibin Lake. Current size estimated 83,000 hectares in size. Wolf Fire is west of Denair Beach. It has led to the full evacuation of all staff at the Florin Mine. Currently, that fire has moved eastward and is a direct threat to Denair Beach. It has also impacted travel on Highway 106, and it is previously estimated at 30,000 hectares. We do not have an updated size, but it has grown substantially overnight. The Pelican Fire, which is immediately north of Pelican Narrows, the community of Pelican Narrows, has led to the evacuation of Pelican Narrows, has impacted Highway 135, which is access to Pelican Narrows and Sandy Bay. Those roads are guiding traffic through at this time. The fire was estimated at 9,000 hectares. It has grown and has yet to be mapped for the additional area. Final fire on our list of fires of note is the Club Fire. It is currently impacting the communities of Creighton and Flin Flon and impacting Highway 106. This fire has crossed the border, continues to grow on both sides of the border. The Saskatchewan portion was previously listed at 25,000 hectares, has grown to the north away from the communities, so that fire has increased in size. Overall, in summary, 26 communities, parks, and mines are on evacuation order and have been evacuated and impacted by fires. I mentioned the highways that are currently impacted as well. Highways 913 and 912 are both closed because of the Shoe Fire. And I can't stress this enough. non-essential travel on any of these roads is not advised. So seriously consider, if you do wish to travel, that there is a bona fide essential need. The situation is fairly dynamic, and roads that were open this morning at 9 o'clock are already closed. So take that into consideration on whether you really need there. And these roads do have to be allowed to be open because there is essential food, emergency support that has to get through, and cannot be hampered by non-essential travel. So the highway hotline is being updated almost immediately as soon as we notify them of these closures. So please refer to the highway hotline to plan any travel in the north at this time. We talked about the fires and the impacts to communities. Currently, the Public Safety Agency has verified 163 confirmed at values lost, so that homes, cottages, structures, 163 now have been confirmed over the course of all of these fires. As the summary indicates, the fire intensity and the weather, we will continue with a full fire ban and ATV ban across the entire northern part of Saskatchewan to ensure no more human-caused fires are started. Our crews are hard at work managing and protecting the resources of Saskatchewan, and we are very grateful to our partners who have come forward. So Quebec, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, British Columbia, Yukon, Northwest Territories have come from across Canada to help Saskatchewan. And we also have support from our US neighbors, the state of Alaska, the state of Oregon, and the state of Arizona. So we appreciate their support as we fight through these very busy times and try to protect people, roads, access, and get these fires contained as best as we can until we see a turn in the weather. So that's an overview summary. I think we'll just open it up to questions from this point forward.
Thank you, Steve. Just a reminder, we're going to ask reporters to keep it to one question only at this time. We do have a hard stop at 2 p.m. If we have time after, we will go to follow-ups. So if you are on the phone, you will need to press *5 to raise your hand, and you will need to press *6 to mute and unmute yourself. So we'll start things off with Timur Durrani from the Globe and Mail. Go ahead.
Hi, hello. I guess since I get a question today, just one, I wanted to ask you again about whether military support at this point is needed and why it may not be needed. Could you just sort of walk us through your thinking on that, when it would maybe rise to that level in Saskatchewan? Because Manitoba, of course, as Mr. Moe had explained to us over the weekend, had the need for that, right? So why is Saskatchewan not there yet? A lot of people are wondering about this. Any thinking on that would be really helpful. Thanks.
So just to clarify, the Canadian military has some unique assets that when we need them, for example, air evacuation. However, their actual firefighting assets are limited compared to assets that are qualified and trained from our partner fire agencies. So from an operational point of view and a qualified, experienced individual who knows how to fight fire, our best bet for Saskatchewan is to bring them in from our neighboring wildfire agencies like British Columbia, like Oregon, like Alaska. The military do not do firefighting on an ongoing basis. They have limited exposure to it, so their ability to assist in that is limited. And that's why we have not brought them in to date. We're bringing highly qualified people in right now. And, should we get a change in the weather and these fires start to moderate, we, of course, will then bring in local crews next because both they are easier to support when they come from the local community. And if the event, as we saw in 2015, those become insufficient, then it would be an opportunity at that time to look at ground-based crews from the military.
Thanks, Steve. We'll move to Christopher Vandenbrenkel. Please identify which outlet you're from too, please.
Yeah, I'm with Global News in Saskatoon. Steve, looking at the situation around La Ronge, they've been put on pre-evacuation notice according to the tribal chiefs in that area. in the event that those communities are evacuated, how are they getting out? Because I'm looking at Highway Hotline right now. Highway 2 just south of La Ronge has just been closed. All the other highways that are heading to any other communities are closed due to fires. They got fires all around them. How do you plan on removing that population in the event of an evacuation?
So currently, the potential access plan for that community, if Highway 2 is compromised and they cannot be guided through, they will actually be moved down until they hit the 165. They will travel west and then down through Isle Across on that highway, down through the 155. So that currently, that almost entire road system is not impacted by fire. There's a little bit of fire adjacent to the highway at Hall Lake, and we would manage that if we needed to use that as our primary corridor for an evacuation.
Great. Thank you, Steve. Next, we'll move to Scott Larson. If you can identify which outlet you're from, please.
Hi, good afternoon. I am with CBC, Saskatchewan. My question is regarding La Ronge and Montreal Lake. If those two areas need to be evacuated, where would the residents go?
Our staff who manage evacuations are already pre-identifying communities that have hotel space anywhere from Prince Albert to Weyburn and from North Battleford to Hudson Bay. Basically, we're canvassing every community in Saskatchewan for their capacity, and as evacuees come out, they will be directed to areas where they can be housed until they can return home.
Thank you, Steve. Next, we're going to move to Gillian Massey with CGME.
Hi, I know you talked a little bit about how you kind of get people out of the communities, but can you maybe speak to a little bit more of how challenging it is for your crews to get these people out of the communities when you're seeing different closures and such?
Well, we plan for again, in the event of an evacuation, how they will travel. We provide that information to the local officials. If we have to support those evacuations, either through guiding traffic through, potentially doing some work adjacent to the highways to ensure that they remain viable as an evacuation corridor, we will do that. In most cases, our work is about keeping the fire out of the community, not the evacuation side. That is managed, and we will work with our partners like highways and some of the community evacuation officials to get that piece completed.
Great. Thank you, Steve. Next is Sarah Jones. Can you please identify which outlet you're from?
Yeah, hi there. I'm with Global Regina. Just reaching out, kind of asking, we talked to some people who were evacuated, protesting outside of the First Minister's meeting today. We're hearing a lot of people who are concerned about communication from the SPSA, and maybe just a lack of support coming from the provincial partners and stuff. I guess, what is kind of your response to those people who are feeling frustrated and feeling a little bit let down on how the province is kind of responding and how they're getting help?
Well, I can say that the province is taking, best efforts. This is not an easy task. The situation is fairly dynamic. One of the issues that is of concern that happens is multiple agencies are assisting in moving people out and finding them. So it's not just one agency, one phone call. So people do get confused if they're being moved out by one and they're looking for support, but they end up talking to another. So we're trying to clarify that as best we can through our 1855 line and other things with speaking notes to make sure people are aware that they try to identify themselves to the organization that are managing their evacuation to get support first. Otherwise, we're duplicating and causing some confusion on supports. At the end of the day, both ourselves and our partner organizations are making best efforts to ensure that people are getting supported while they're evacuated, right through to when they may have to return back to their communities.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Next is Carla Shunkrock with CTV Saskatoon.
Hi, just wondering, we're hearing that Saskatoon is getting pretty full up for evacuees, and that possibly some will be moved to Alberta. Can you verify that? Is that happening? Are we at that stage yet?
I don't have an exact count for Saskatoon, but our contingency plans should any Saskatchewan as a province not be able to support the numbers, then yes, indeed, we have feelers already out. To our neighbors, obviously to the west makes more sense because Manitoba is also constrained. But as we were aware even last week, the people that were evacuated from Canoe Lake on the west side of the province actually were housed and accommodated in Cold Lake, Alberta the entire time they were out of their jurisdiction.
Okay. Thank you. We will now open it up. If anybody has a follow-up, we do have a few minutes left.
Chris, we're just gonna go to the chat. There's a question in there.
Okay,
And
thank
then
you.
I believe Celine Grimard also had a question.
Okay. So Sam, you're on. Can you please identify your name and which outlet you're with? Oh, CBC Saskatchewan. There you go. Thank you. Steve, can you please speak to how your fire crews and teams are keeping up and taking care of themselves? This is an early and tough fire season, and it's only June 2nd.
Yeah, thanks for the comment. It has been a very long period of time. You know, even I can say from a personal perspective, it has been a long haul and it is tiring. But the agency, the public safety agency, does have a very robust mental health support program available to our staff should they need that. We are taking our staff and ensuring that they are coming off the fire line and having some days of rest. So both for their mental health and physical health, catch up with their families, get the support they need. So it's not every day nonstop till it's over. We understand the need for that and to rotate. It's also one of the reasons we brought resources in for other provinces so that we can ensure that our staff are at least getting a few days here and a few days there to rest and recuperate and get back into the fight when they're ready to go.
Great, thank you. Mia Hollowaychuk with CKOM has a question. We're hearing pets aren't allowed on the buses. What do evacuees do with their pets? And do you have any way to help them?
So there are, in some evacuations, again, they're not allowed on the buses, but many people are self-evacuating. So the options is sending your pet with somebody who's driving out. The other end of that equation is there are some hotels that can't take the pets, so they will have to be boarded or kept with family and friends. In isolated locations where pets have been left behind, we have made efforts to, and many local community charity groups have made efforts to get dog food into those communities to be put out for those pets, even though the owners may have evacuated. So we are making efforts to make sure those pets are at least getting some food and some support in those communities.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll go back to the to those. Calling in Christopher, I think you had a follow-up. Go ahead.
Yeah, Steve, we talked about highway closures and fire sizes in the update here. What about properties or structures lost at this point? I know for a fair while now, the fire has been sitting right on the edge of Pelican Narrows, very close to Creighton. Have there been properties lost in those communities?
At this time, I'm just having a quick look here. I'm aware of one structure in Pelican Narrows. None at this time confirmed on my list in Creighton, Flin Flon, even though they are immediately on the edge of the town there. So, but again, we have lost structures. This number has increased now to 163 province-wide.
Timur Durrani, you had a follow-up?
Yes, I did. Mr. Roberts, could you tell us a little bit about what the weather forecast right now is looking like for you as well? Like anything in terms of that's been helpful? Because in northern Manitoba, we're hearing a bit of rain is coming as a bit of respite, but not really nearly enough. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. The key word in that statement is northern. Interesting enough, Saskatchewan has areas where we received over 30 millimeters of rain. Sadly, that is in the far north, nowhere near these fires. So I'm assuming that in many cases that's going to be similar for Manitoba, where this wet system that's going through is actually traveling across the territories and just touching the north parts of the province. We are looking at a potential for light showers maybe towards the end of the week, but we still have a number of days of extreme fire weather in front of us.
Thank you, Steve. Scott Larson, you have a follow-up?
Hi, Steve. Yeah, could you just clarify in terms of who's in charge of every evacuation? Is it the province? Is it the Red Cross, or each individual community? And who decides where everyone goes?
Okay, so the decision to evacuate is made by the community officials. Then they go to their pre-planned who supports them if they have no pre-made arrangements for support. In other words, they may just leave individually and go to families and friends. That's fine. If they need assistance, they may get the support from the public safety agency. So small communities is common, but some of our tribal councils have stepped up and they're managing these evacuations. So Peter Ballantyne Cree Nation, Meadow Lake handled the evacuation of Canoe Lake. So they are delivering that service, delivering that support for them while they're out of their own communities until they return to their own communities. So that's where my conversation earlier about there's different people moving people. So interesting in a community, the tribal council may be moving everyone from the reserve, but right across the creek or the bridge from the reserve is a small settlement that is being moved by the public safety agency. So that's where there's some confusion on who do I contact if I need support. So we understand that, but the primary goal is to get people out of harm's way and then try to get them the supports they need once they're out of harm's way.
Thank you. Carla, you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you for that. So just to confirm, you said 26 communities are on evacuation order. Is that 26 communities haven't evacuated? I was a little unclear on the wording on that. And then just in total, how many people are we talking about now today on Monday that have been evacuated, like in total?
Okay, whereas the total number is still about 8,000. We've had large number of community people return, for instance, on Canoe Lake, but we've had some other smaller communities out, so that's still relatively our number. That does not include the Manitoba number. And so that number has been fairly stable. My comment about evacuations and why I said there was an order is some of those orders only include health compromised individuals, small children, elderly, and some are total evacuations. And even in that scenario, there will be people that are essential services and some people who are voluntarily do not wish to leave and evacuate and wish to stay and protect their homes and work with the public safety agency. So it's never really a true number. The order exists and people can heed the order, but it applies differently in different situations.
Thanks, Steve. Celine from CKOM asks, have you noticed that the ATV ban has reduced the number of human-caused fire starts?
I would say that we have not seen any new fire starts recently that appear to be from ATVs. So we're happy that we're getting the message out to people, and whether it needed a ban to do that, but I think people are understanding that, you know, ATVs can cause fires, and at this point, with what we're facing in Saskatchewan, that is an unnecessary risk to take just to potentially enjoy an afternoon out with your quad or whatever. It's too risky. So we haven't had a lot of new starts in the last little while. The combination of the fire ban and the ATV ban together has reduced the number of new starts in the last week.
Thank you. The last question today will go to Sarah Jones.
Hi, thanks so much. I know you mentioned that there was 160 or 63 values lost, like houses, cottages, and one in Pelican Narrows there, none in Creighton area. Where are those structures that we have seen? Like, where are they lost? In which communities?
Well, we have a number of communities. I mean, even you know, if we look at Narrow Hills Provincial Park, we've lost structures that the agency owned. There were some park structures that were lost. When we look at the subdivisions of East Trout Lake, Little Bear Lake, there's been some losses as well. I mean, if we look, and then we add to that the ones that we actually saw early in the season, we actually had 8 structures lost early in the season on the west side of the province. They're included in this number in year to date, even though there's not currently an active fire over there. That was early on in early May that we had a quick start fire, and I think there was 8 structures there. So they're all over. They're not specific. The probably the largest collection is related to the fire that breached the East Trout Lake Resort subdivision.
Thank you so much, Steve. Appreciate your time. I know you're busy. We're going to let you get back to it. So this will conclude our media conference for today. If there are any additional questions, we will do our best to get back to you. Just email media.spsa@gov.sk.ca.